Today we're talking about what if Spider-Man turned into a villain. If Spider-Man turned into a villain, it would drastically alter not only his character, but the entire Marvel universe. Peter Parker, known for his mantra, "With great power comes great responsibility," would embody the opposite of this principle, using his abilities for personal gain or to exert control over others. What would make Spider-Man turn to a villain? 1. Tragedy and loss. If Peter suffered a devastating personal loss, like the death of Aunt May or Mary Jane Watson, he could be driven to the brink, blaming himself and the world for his pain. Instead of using his grief to motivate heroic actions, he could succumb to anger and seek revenge, leading him down a darker path. 2. Corruption of power. If Peter began to view his powers as a means to impose his will on others, believing that his superior abilities made him the rightful judge, jury, and executioner, he could become a vigilante who sees no moral boundaries. 3. Influence of external forces. Peter could fall under the influence of a powerful villain or artifact, such as the Venom symbiote, but more permanently. If the symbiote or another dark force took control of his mind, it could push him toward villainy. How it could impact Spider-Man relationships. 1. Enemies become allies. Spider-Man's former enemies, like the Green Goblin, Dr. Octopus, or Kingpin, could see an opportunity to recruit him to their side. A dark Spider-Man might even unite with these villains to take down heroes, becoming a leader of a villainous syndicate. 2. Friends become foes. Peter's closest allies, including the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, or even his best friend Harry Osborn, would become his greatest enemies. These former friends would be forced to confront Peter, now a formidable and dangerous adversary. 3. Guilt and manipulation. Peter might manipulate or terrorize those who once loved him, such as Aunt May or Mary Jane, using their connections to him as leverage or tormenting them with the knowledge that the Peter they knew is gone. Spider-Man behavior and methods as a villain. 1. Strategic genius. Peter's intellect would make him a cunning and strategic villain. He could outthink heroes, setting traps, and using his deep understanding of their weaknesses against them. 2. Lethal force. Unlike his heroic persona, a villainous Spider-Man wouldn't hold back. He could use his webbing and agility not just to immobilize enemies, but to kill or maim. He could also use his spider sense to evade capture and stay one step ahead of his pursuers. 3. Control over the city. As a villain, Spider-Man might seek to dominate New York City, using fear and power to control the criminal underworld. He could enforce his rule with an iron fist, punishing those who defy him and eliminating anyone who challenges his authority, the Marvel Universe's response. Rise of new heroes. Spider-Man's fall could inspire others to take up the mantle of heroism, trying to fill the void he left. Characters like Miles Morales, Gwen Stacy, Spider-Woman, or even a reformed villain like the Black Cat might step up to oppose him. Heroic coalition. Major heroes such as Iron Man, Captain America, and Daredevil might band together to stop the threat Spider-Man poses. This could lead to epic battles across the Marvel Universe, with Spider-Man using all his skills to evade capture and wreak havoc. Moral dilemmas. Heroes who were once close to Peter, like the Human Torch or Black Widow, would struggle with the decision to fight him, knowing they might have to kill their former ally to stop him. Potential redemption arc. 1. Internal conflict. Despite his turn to villainy, Peter Parker might still experience internal conflict, haunted by memories of Uncle Ben and his original values. This inner struggle could create a complex character torn between his newfound darkness and the remnants of his former self. 2. Redemption through sacrifice. A potential redemption arc might see Peter ultimately sacrificing himself to save those he once sought to harm. Perhaps a moment of clarity allows him to break free from whatever drove him to villainy, leading to a tragic but redemptive end. Shakespearean tragedy. Fall from grace. A villainous Spider-Man would represent a classic fall from grace, a hero corrupted by power, grief, or madness, leading to a tragic downfall. This narrative would echo the themes of great literary tragedies, with Peter Parker becoming a cautionary tale of what happens when responsibility is abandoned in favor of personal vengeance or control. A villainous Spider-Man would be one of the greatest threats to the Marvel Universe. His turn to evil would reshape the dynamics of heroism and villainy, forcing the Marvel heroes to confront one of their own in a battle for the soul of Peter Parker. The psychological depth and moral complexity of such a storyline would explore the very essence of what it means to be a hero, making it a dark and compelling chapter in the Spider-Man saga.